Welcome to the Ancient Dream Narrator. Today, we step not merely into a battlefield, but into the mind of God. Imagine a plain so vast that the horizon itself is swallowed by the dust of millions. This is Kurukshetra. 18 Akshauhinis, 18 massive armies, standing blade to blade. The air is not just heavy with the scent of iron and horses. It is heavy with destiny. On one side, the Kauravas, a sea of red and black, fueled by greed, arrogance, and the sheer weight of numbers. On the other, the Pandavas, fewer in number, scarred by exile, standing on the fragile ground of righteousness. But look closer. Forget the elephants. Forget the chariots that rumble like thunder. Look to the center. There stands a single chariot, drawn by white horses, and holding the reins is a figure who carries no weapon. He wears no armor, only yellow silk and a peacock feather. Krishna. Ever wonder if there is a higher strategy beyond brute strength? The Kurukshetra war wasn't just a clash of bodies. It was a masterclass in cosmic chess. While kings relied on swords, Krishna relied on timing. While generals focused on formations, Krishna focused on psychology. This story is not about how a god fought a war. It is about how a strategist navigated the impossible. It explores the intricate interplay of dharma, diplomacy, and decisive action. We are about to dissect the mind of the ultimate tactician. Prepare yourself. The conch shells are about to blow. The war begins, not with a roar, but with a collapse. Arjuna, the greatest archer of his time, the man upon whom the entire Pandava victory rests, asks Krishna to drive the chariot to the middle of the battlefield. He wants to look his enemy in the eye, but what he sees breaks him. He does not see the enemy. He sees Bhishma, the grandfather who bounced him on his knee. He sees Drona, the teacher who taught him how to hold a bow. He sees cousins, friends, playmates. His knees tremble. The great Gandiva bow, a weapon that has conquered demons, slips from his sweat-slicked hands. His mouth goes dry. He turns to Krishna, tears streaming down his face, and says, "I will not fight. I would rather die than kill my own blood." This moment, right here, is the Pandavas' first point of failure. From a military standpoint, this is a catastrophe. The commander-in-chief is having a breakdown. Minutes before the charge, if Arjuna falls, the morale of the entire army collapses. The war is lost before the first arrow flies. Krishna's intervention here. The Bhagavad Gita is often viewed solely as a scripture. But look at it strategically. It was the ultimate triage. Krishna saw that Arjuna was paralyzed by a false sense of identity. Arjuna thought he was killing his family. Krishna needed him to see that he was destroying adharma. He did not comfort Arjuna with soft words. He deconstructed his ego. He shattered his perception of reality. Krishna revealed the Vishvarupa, his cosmic form, a form of 1,000 faces, 1,000 mouths, devouring the universe. In that terrifying vision, Krishna showed Arjuna the truth. These warriors you are afraid to kill, they are already dead. Time has already claimed them. You are merely the instrument. It was a psychological maneuver of absolute brilliance. He reframed the war. It was no longer a family dispute. It was a duty of cosmic cleansing. He took the burden of sin off Arjuna's shoulders and replaced it with the cold, hard steel of duty. When Arjuna picked up his bow again, he was no longer a trembling grandson. He was a warrior of the absolute. Without this mental fortification, without this Gita, the Pandavas would have been slaughtered on day one. Krishna proved that the most dangerous weapon on the battlefield is a clear mind. With the psychological war won, the physical war began. But for the first 9 days, the Pandavas did not see victory. They saw only death. Standing against them was the grandfather, Bhishma, the man who had practically raised them. But on the battlefield, he was not a grandfather. He was a force of nature. He possessed the boon of Ikamrityu, death only at his own choosing. Arrows bounced off his armor. Spears shattered against his chest. He was destroying 10,000 soldiers every single day, like a wildfire tearing through a dry forest. Bhishma was unstoppable. By the 9th night, the Pandava camp was silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of the grave. Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandava, was ready to surrender. He looked at Krishna and said, "We cannot win. To defeat Bhishma is to fight time itself." Krishna smiled. He knew that against a man of perfect virtue, brute force is useless. You cannot break a diamond with a hammer. You must find the flaw in the crystal. Krishna turned to Arjuna. "Bhishma has a vow," Krishna whispered. "A vow never to raise a weapon against a woman, or one who has been a woman. Enter Shikhandi." Shikhandi was born a woman, Amba, but had transformed into a warrior man. To the world, Shikhandi was a soldier, but to Bhishma's rigid code, Shikhandi was still a woman. On the 10th day, Krishna orchestrated the formation. He did not hide Shikhandi. He placed him right at the front, right in the center of Arjuna's chariot. Imagine the scene. The dust settles. Bhishma raises his bow, ready to annihilate the Pandava army. But then he sees Shikhandi, his code, his dharma, locks his arms. He lowers his bow. He smiles, a smile of resignation. He knows the game is up. In that split second of hesitation, Krishna's voice cut through the noise like a whip. "Arjuna, now! Strike him now!" Arjuna hesitated. "How can I strike an unarmed man? How can I strike my grandfather?" Krishna's logic was cold and absolute. If you do not strike, he will kill us all. His vow is his weakness. Use it. Shoot. Arjuna, shoot. From behind the shield of Shikhandi, the arrows flew. 1, 10, 100. They pierced the armor of the invincible man. Not because he was weak, but because his own morality had been weaponized against him. Bhishma fell, not touching the ground, but suspended on a bed of arrows. The barrier was removed. Krishna showed the world a hard truth that day. Sometimes tradition becomes a cage, and to uphold the greater dharma, the smaller rules must be broken. With Bhishma fallen, the command passed to the teacher. Dronakarya. If Bhishma was a river, Drona was a storm. He was the master of celestial weapons. He knew every formation, every secret, every weakness of his students. Under his command, the war turned vicious. Rules were forgotten. The code of chivalry began to bleed out into the sand. It was Drona who sanctioned the brutal killing of the young Abhimanyu. And now, fueled by grief and rage, Drona was burning the Pandava army to ash. He was invincible in combat. No arrow could touch him while he held a weapon. Krishna watched from the chariot, his eyes narrowing. He knew Drona had no physical weakness, but he had a spiritual one, an obsession. His son, Ashwatthama. Drona fought not for the king, but to build a kingdom for his son. His attachment, his moh, was his Achilles' heel. Krishna turned to the Pandavas. He cannot be killed by the sword, Krishna said. He must be killed by the truth, or rather, a manipulation of it. The plan was hatched. Bhima, the giant, found a massive war elephant that happened to be named Ashwatthama. With a single crush of his mace, he killed the beast, and then he roared to the heavens, "Ashwatthama is dead! Ashwatthama is dead!" The rumor spread like poison through the ranks. It reached Drona's ears. His hands shook. But Drona was wise. He did not believe Bhima. He knew only one man would never lie. Yudhisthira, the man of truth. Drona lowered his bow and looked at Yudhisthira. "Tell me, O king," he asked, his voice trembling, "is my son dead?" This was the test. Krishna stepped in. He looked at Yudhisthira with eyes of fire. "If you speak the absolute truth now, we lose. Dharma dies. You must say he is dead, for the elephant is dead." Yudhisthira, conflicted, finally spoke. "Ashwatthama is dead." And in that exact moment, Krishna blew his conch shell, the Panchajanya, with a deafening roar. The sound tore through the air. drowning out Yudhishthira's whisper. The elephant. Drona heard only the first part. Ashwatthama is dead. The weapon of attachment pierced his heart deeper than any arrow. The invincible warrior, the master teacher, simply gave up. He sat down in the middle of the chaos. He closed his eyes. He entered meditation, abandoning his will to fight. It was then that Drishtadyumna, born for this very moment, stepped forward and severed the teacher's head. Cruel? Perhaps. Deceptive? Certainly. But Krishna demonstrated the ultimate strategic reality. When an enemy is too strong to be fought physically, you must attack what they love. You must break their will before you break their body. The war reached its fever pitch with a death that shook the heavens. Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son, brutally murdered by 6 warriors trapped in a circle of steel. When Arjuna heard the news, he did not just grieve. He exploded. He took a vow that terrified the cosmos. I will kill Jayadratha, the man who blocked the rescue. By sunset tomorrow, if the sun sets and he is alive, I will step into the fire and end my own life. The Kauravas heard this vow, and they cheered. They didn't need to defeat Arjuna anymore. They just needed to hide Jayadratha until the sun went down. They built a formation, a Padma Vyuha, layers upon layers of millions of soldiers, with Jayadratha hidden at the very core, deep behind the lines. The day of the battle was a race against time. Arjuna fought like a demon. He shattered chariots. He broke lines. He moved faster than the wind. But the Kaurava army was too thick. The day was too short. Krishna drove the horses to their limit. But as the afternoon wore on, the sun began to dip low. The sky turned orange, then red. Tihen, darkness. The sun had set. Arjuna dropped his bow. He had failed. The silence on the battlefield was deafening. According to his vow, he now had to prepare his funeral pyre. The Kauravas roared in triumph. Jayadratha, believing he was safe, emerged from his hiding place. He walked to the front lines, laughing, mocking Arjuna. "Look at the sun," he shouted. "It has set. You have lost. Burn yourself, Arjuna." Arjuna looked at Krishna, defeat in his eyes. But Krishna was not looking at Arjuna. He was looking at the sky. With a subtle movement of his mind, he withdrew his Yogmaya. He had summoned the Sudarshana chakra to mask the sun, creating a temporary, artificial eclipse. Suddenly, the darkness vanished. The chakra spun away. The sun, bright and burning, was still hanging just above the horizon. It had not set. The laughter of the Kauravas died in their throats. Jayadratha froze, realizing he had walked into a trap. He was now out in the open, exposed within range of the Gandhava. Krishna pointed a finger at the terrified king. The sun has not set. There is your enemy. Cut off his head. Arjuna did not hesitate. He released the Anjalika weapon. The arrow flew across the plains, decapitating Jayadratha in a single, clean strike. The head fell, the sun set, and the vow was fulfilled. It was the ultimate deception. Krishna proved that in war, perception is reality. By manipulating the environment and the arrogance of his enemy, he snatched victory from the absolute jaws of defeat. The final great hurdle was Karna, the tragic hero, the warrior who was equal to Arjuna in every way. But Karna had something Arjuna did not: the Vasavi Shakti, a divine dart given to him by the king of gods, Indra. It was a weapon of absolute certainty. Once fired, it would kill anyone. No armor, no god could stop it. But it had a limit. It could be used only once. Karna was saving it. He was hoarding it, guarding it with his life, for one target only: Arjuna. Krishna knew this. He knew that as long as Karna held that weapon, Arjuna was a dead man walking. The war could not be won. So, Krishna made a move that was cold, calculating, and terrifying. He did not send Arjuna to fight. He called upon the night. He called upon Ghatotkacha, the half-demon son of Bhima, a giant who grew stronger in the darkness. Krishna sent Ghatotkacha to attack the Kaurava army at night. The giant was a nightmare. He grew to the size of a mountain. He crushed chariots under his feet. He swallowed horses whole. He rained fire from the sky. The Kaurava army was evaporating. Duryodhana, terrified, ran to Karna. "Save us," he screamed. "Use the weapon. Kill the beast, or we will not live to see the sunrise." Karna refused. "It is for Arjuna." But the slaughter was too great. Ghatotkacha was moments away from killing Duryodhana himself. Forced by immediate necessity, Karna lifted the Vasavi Shakti. With a heart full of regret, he hurled the divine weapon at the giant. The sky tore open. The weapon struck Ghatotkacha, and the giant fell with a sound that shook the earth. The Pandavas wept. Bhima collapsed in grief. But amidst the tears, Krishna danced. He slapped his chariot. He embraced Arjuna. Arjuna was shocked. "My nephew is dead. Why do you celebrate?" Krishna's eyes were hard as flint. "I celebrate because you are alive. Karna has used his weapon. The dart is gone. It has returned to Indra. Ghatotkacha was the pawn I sacrificed to take the queen off the board. It was a ruthless trade-off, a tactical sacrifice for a strategic checkmate. Krishna showed that a leader must sometimes pay a terrible price to secure the ultimate victory. The war ended. The funeral pyres burned for days. The cries of widows echoed across the land. The cost was immeasurable, but Dharma was upheld. Looking back at the 18 days of Kurukshetra, we see the true nature of Krishna's leadership. He never picked up a sword. He never fired an arrow. Yet, he won every duel. He taught us that righteousness is not passive. It is not weak. True Dharma requires intelligence. It requires adaptability. And sometimes it requires the willingness to break the small rules, to uphold the great law. He used the Gita to conquer the mind. He used a vow to defeat the invincible. He used attachment to defeat the teacher. He used the sun to defeat the time. And he used a sacrifice to save the future. In the game of life, we are all Arjunas. We all stand on our own battlefields, paralyzed by doubt, facing obstacles that seem impossible. Perhaps what we need isn't just more brute strength. Perhaps we need a little of Krishna's strategic wisdom to see the board clearly, to know when to act, and to understand that true victory begins in the mind. This has been the Ancient Dream Narrator. Dream deeply, and may your strategy be true. Welcome to the Ancient Dream Narrator.